Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Shri Shri Radha Madhava Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Govardhana Ki Jai Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Is that 159 on the board? Emata Emata Sankyatita Caitanya Bhaktagan Din Matra Liki Samyakna Yaya Katan Emata Sankyatita Caitanya Bhaktagan Din Matra Liki Samyakna Yaya Katan Emata in this way Sankhya Atita innumerable Chaitanya Bhakta Gana devotees of Lord Chaitanya Din Matra only a fractional part Likhi I write Samyak full Na cannot Yaya be possible Katan to explain. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. I list in this way only a portion of the innumerable devotees of Lord Chaitanya. To describe them all fully is not possible. Please repeat. I list in this way only a portion of the innumerable devotees of Lord Chaitanya. To describe them all fully is not possible. So, no purport, text 160. From each branch of the tree have grown hundreds and thousands of sub-branches of disciples and grand disciples. Purport. It was the desire of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that his cult be spread all over the world. Therefore, there is a great necessity for many, many disciples of the branches of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's disciplic succession. His cult should be spread not only in a few villages, or in Bengal, or in India, but all over the world. It is very much regrettable that complacent so-called devotees criticize the members of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness for accepting sannyas and spreading the cult of Lord Chaitanya all over the world. It is not our business to criticize anyone, but because they try to find fault with this movement, the real truth must be stated. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted devotees all over the world, and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur also confirmed this. It is in pursuit of their will that the ISKCON movement is spreading all over the world. Genuine devotees of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu must take pride in the spread of Krishna consciousness movement instead of viciously criticizing its propaganda work. It's just a few more verses, so we'll finish this chapter. Every branch and sub-branch of the tree is full of innumerable fruits and flowers. They inundate the world with the waters of love of Krishna. Each and every branch of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's devotees has unlimited spiritual power and glory. Even if one had thousands of mouths, it would be impossible to describe the limits of their activities. I briefly described the devotees of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in different places. Even Lord Shesha, who has thousands of mouths, could not list them all. Praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishnadas, narrate Sri Caitanya Caritamrita following in their footsteps. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine. So here Krishnadas Kaviraj is finishing the chapter on the trees, the trunk, the branches of the Chaitanya tree. So all of the different devotees that are the different branches of the ecstatic tree of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that is spreading Krishna consciousness, Krishna prema throughout the world. Sometimes it's said that there is no incarnation of the Lord in the Kali Yuga, and in most of the Shastras, sometimes it is said that he comes in 3 ages. But in this age, he comes in a hidden incarnation, and he is talked about in various scriptures, especially in the Mahabharata. There's one verse. Krishna Varnam Tvish Akrishnam Sangopangastra Parshadam Yagyai Sankirtana Praya Yajanti Hi Sumedasa. That Krishna Varnam Tvish Akrishnam, he comes in a non-blackish color or a light color, a golden color, and he's always chanting Hare Krishna. And Sangha Opanga Parshadam Krishna Varnam Tvish Akrishnam Sangopanga Astra Parshadam. So his astra, his weapons, are not like the bow of Lord Ram or the chakra of Lord Vishnu, of Lord Krishna, but his weapons are his sangha, his association, and his anga, his limbs, his parts of himself, and his devotees are his weapons. And what are those weapons doing? Jagai Sankirtana Prayer. They're spreading the Sankirtan movement. So the Lord comes in Kali Yuga, and his weapons are these associates. And Krishnadas Kaviraj has so beautifully gone through all of the different associates of the Lord, talking about them in this chapter, and they are the way that the Lord, or they're one way that the Lord is spreading and instructing. Maybe they can sit outside at least. It's just a bit disturbing right here. Is that right? So Yajanti hi sumedasa, and so the intelligent people will take shelter of these devotees. And here it's said that from each branch of the tree have grown hundreds and thousands of sub-branches of disciples and grand disciples. Shishya, Upashishya, disciples and then sub-disciples. So Lord Chaitanya, he wanted obviously wanted the parampara to continue. He wanted his disciples to have disciples like that. They spent so much of their time doing that. And Srila Prabhupada has really spoken very strongly, as you just heard in this purport, that sometimes so-called devotees or people criticize the members of Srila Prabhupada's society for accepting sannyas or for going and preaching all around the world. And this is actually this type of consciousness that only sort of a certain type of people from a certain caste or varna, like a brahmana, or they have to be born in India, or these kind of external designations. In fact, this is what Lord Caitanya himself railed against, his whole movement. So many devotees, just like Haridas Thakur was born in a Mohammedan family. He wasn't born into the following the ritualistic purificatory ceremonies of the Brahmanas, but he was named as the Namacharya. Many of his followers, and Lord Caitanya himself, he spoke about this many times, that he's quoted as saying, Ye Krishna Tattva Vetta Se Guru Hoy. What is that? Kiba Vipra Kiba Nyasi Shudra Kene Noi Jai Krishna Tattva Vetta Se Guru Hoy. It doesn't matter if one is a Kiba Vipra, is a Brahmana, Kiba Nyasi is sannyasi, Shudra Kene Noi, even a Shudra. Ye Krishna Tattva Vetta. The one who knows the truth of Krishna, She Guru Hoy. He can become the Guru. Lord Caitanya himself very strongly spoke against this. And in just the previous pages that was spoken about yesterday, we spoke about the great devotee of the Lord Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. And there's a very nice passage actually in Adi-lila, chapter 13, where did you read this yesterday? So it's quite a short passage, but it's very instructive, where Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, because he was as you would have heard yesterday, he's the son of Tapana Mishra. Tapana Mishra and Chandrasekhar Acharya, they lived in Varanasi. When Lord Caitanya went there, it was actually on the pleading of Tapana Mishra that Lord Caitanya go and try to rectify the faulty mentality of the Mayavadi sannyasis, because they were very much minimizing Lord Caitanya and his group, calling them sentimentalists who weren't really studying the Vedanta and didn't really have philosophy, and it was just an emotional sort of experience that didn't have a solid spiritual basis. But Tapana Mishra and Chandrasekhar, they couldn't bear to hear this blasphemy, this criticism of Lord Caitanya, so they very much asked him. So they were very instrumental in those pastimes, and the son of Tapana Mishra was this Raghunath Bhatta. And Raghunath Bhatta went to, we'll hear about, during this time, so this is Caitanya Caritamrita Adi-lila, chapter 13, text 90. During this time, Raghunath Bhattacharya, the son of Tapana Mishra, gave up all his duty and left home, intending to meet Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Accompanied by one servant carrying his baggage, Raghunath Bhatta started from Varanasi and travelled along the path leading through Bengal. In Bengal, he met Ram Das Vishwas, who belonged to the Kayasta caste. He was one of the king's secretaries. Ram Das Vishwas was very learned in all the revealed scriptures. He was a teacher of the famous book Kavya Prakash and was known as an advanced devotee and worshipper of Raghunath, Lord Ramachandra. Ramdas had renounced everything and was going to see Lord Jagannath. While travelling, he chanted the holy name of Lord Ram 24 hours a day. When he met Raghunath Bhatta on the way, he took Raghunath's baggage on his head and carried it. So I'll just summarize what is happening here. So this Ramdas Vishwas met Raghunath Bhatta. Raghunath Bhatta was from a Brahmana family. So he served him, saying that you're a Brahmin, I should serve you. And he would carry his bag for him on his head as they went to Jagannath Puri. And when they finally met Lord Caitanya in Jagannath Puri, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu knew very well who Gopal Bhatta was, and Raghunath Bhatta. He knew very well who Raghunath Bhatta was, and he embraced him and gave him so much mercy. Raghunath Bhatta fell like a stick, fell like a rod before Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya arranged for his lodgings and for him to stay with the devotees. But Lord Chaitanya didn't pay any attention at all to this Ramdas Vishwas. And actually, some of the devotees noted this, that he was chanting all the time, Rama, 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 and he seemed to be a very advanced devotee. But actually it's described that Lord Chaitanya, he knew that Ramdas Vishwas was an impersonalist whose actual desire was to merge into the existence of the Lord, to this idea of trying to become God. And for devotees, for followers of the bhakti path, this is a horrible, horrible idea. They don't want to become God, they want to love God, they want to serve God in an eternal activity of loving, pure, devotional, spiritual, transcendental service in the spiritual sky. So the idea of losing the identity and merging into God means they give up that ability to serve the Lord, and this is hellish for the devotees. And of course the Lord doesn't appreciate that at all. So Lord Chaitanya didn't pay any attention to this Ramdas Vishwas, even though he was chanting the name of Ram Ram all the time. And so I'm going to just keep that thought, what happened in that pastime, and I want to compare that with another pastime that happened with another devotee who we're celebrating today, and that is Vakreshwar Pandit. Thank you. So this is the appearance of Vakreshwar Pandit, and he was an incredible kirtan singer and dancer. He would dance in one of the kirtan parties at Jagannath Puri at Rath Yatra time. And he once danced for 72 hours. So what's that? 3 days, isn't it? Continually. Danced for 3 days in the house of Srivas Thakur when Lord Chaitanya was doing kirtan. So you can imagine dancing for 3 days continually without stop. That's what he was. That's who he was, what level he was on. And at that time, Lord Chaitanya said to him that, Vakreshwar Pandit, you are like my wing. You're like one wing I have. And he said, if I had 2 wings like you, surely I could fly in the sky. Very beautiful glorification of Vakreshwar Pandit. But a very wonderful pastime happened with Vakreshwar Pandit, where a very famous sort of guru in the Navadvip area, and Navadvip at that time was a seat of learning, like Oxford or Cambridge, like a university town. It was known. You know, if you want to learn philosophy, you go to Navadvip. There's so many advanced teachers there. And one of those teachers was called Devananda Pandit, and he used to speak on Bhagavatam. But he didn't really bring out the devotional aspect of Srimad Bhagavatam. It was somewhat impersonal. And Lord Chaitanya, even at that time, didn't appreciate that. And he would actually say, you know, you're not giving the proper bhakti purport of Srimad Bhagavatam. And in fact, one time, the great devotee of Lord Chaitanya, member of Panchatattva, Srivas Thakur, he was listening to this class of Devananda Pandit, and he went into a spiritual trance and lost external consciousness and just fell on the floor because of he was hearing, although Devananda Pandit himself wasn't really accessing the full level of the devotion that's in the Bhagavatam, still Srivas Thakur could understand, and he could get that, the prema, the pure love that the Bhagavatam is talking about. And he became overwhelmed with this spiritual love. And so the disciples of Devananda Pandit thought he was causing some disturbance, and they picked him up and they took him out, threw him out on the road. And then Srivas Thakur, he eventually woke up and was like, oh, where am I? Oh wow, they must have thrown me out. Well, and he obviously felt quite sorry. And so he went home. But Lord Chaitanya came to hear of this. And it said that just like when the four Kumaras went to Vaikuntha and the doorkeepers, Jai and Vijay, were somewhat offensive, they didn't want to let them in. When the Lord Narayan came, he said, whatever offense my servants made, I have to take that, actually. That's my responsibility. So in the same way, Lord Chaitanya considered that the offense of these students was actually, reposed in Devananda Pandit himself, because he was the guru and it happened right in front of him. He could have said something, but he didn't. So later on, when Lord Chaitanya went back and was giving prema to everyone in Navadvip, he said, no, Devananda, you've offended Srivas Thakur, so you can't get the love of Krishna. Krishna won't give you love if you offend his dear devotee. And sometime after this, Devananda Pandit came into contact with Vakreshwar Pandit. And Vakreshwar Pandit was incredible kirtan singer and dancer, and his kirtans were just like literally from another world. Like literally, people were just crying and everything. And Vakreshwar would dance, and sometimes he'd go in ecstasy and he'd fall down. So Devananda Pandit, he took it on himself and he had a stick and he would clear the way of all the people. Like if you go to India when there's a festival, sometimes there's so many people. There's just like thousands of people everywhere, and there's no even space to dance. So like that, Devananda would clear the place for Vakreshwar Pandit to dance. And then when Vakreshwar Pandit fell down, he'd come and catch him so he didn't fall on the ground. Like this, he was performing all these services. And then after some time, he actually received the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya specifically said, because you have served my devotee, Vakreshwar Pandit, who's such a great devotee, he said, you have pleased me and you've made up for your offense. So this is one interesting thing to meditate on, is what is the difference between the service given by this Ramdas Vishwas to Raghunath Bhatta compared to the service given by Devananda Pandit to Vakreshwar Pandit. So a couple of things is one thing is that Devananda Pandit, he was reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Although he didn't have the fully devotional instruction, he hadn't really studied under a devotee, but still he was reading Bhagavatam. And what was this Ramdas Vishwas he was studying? It's like a grammatical text about poetry, how the Sanskrit poetry should be written, etc. It's called Kavya Prakash. That was his big shastra that he would teach. And he actually taught the sons of Bhavananda Roy in Puri, the Pattanayaka family. After some time, he was teaching them this. But it's not a pure devotional text. It's a text about Sanskrit poetry and how poetry is organized, so forth. Kavya Prakash, that was his text. That's one difference. Another difference, if we analyze it, that Devananda Pandit was directly helping in the devotional service of Vakreshwar Pandit. His ecstatic devotion, his kirtan, his glorification of the Lord, he was directly helping in that. And he saw him as a devotee. He was serving him as a devotee, right? He knew, he's a devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's amazing, let me serve him, right? But this Ramdas Vishwas, he was serving Raghunath Bhatta Goswami out of a caste kind of idea. Oh, you're a Brahmana. I'm a Kayasta, like a Shudra assistant to the king. You're a Brahmana, I should serve you. So he was thinking in terms of like Varnashram levels, external thing. This is my duty to serve you. So that's another difference. So if we meditate on this, it's interesting to think about what is the nature of service to devotees. Like and when we're serving devotees, we can think about this pastime. How Devananda got the mercy by directly serving a devotee's devotional activities, right? I remember once Jidapa was, this years ago, was saying to me, I was saying, what do your parents get the effect of serving you or something? He said, yes, if they think about you as a devotee. He made that comment. You remember that, Ajay? Huh? Yeah. So he said it's the exact same point, right? So this Devananda was thinking, he's a great devotee, I'm serving him. But the other guy, even though Raghunath Bhatta is a great devotee, but he didn't get the same result. Because he thought, you're a Brahmana, I should serve you, this is my duty, whatever. Interesting point. So there's one last thing, and I had actually prepared this class about Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, because I was told that that's what it's about. But one thing that really comes up, and it's relevant here, that Raghunath Bhatta Goswami had said that he never would criticize devotees. And I was thinking about that, like, why, and it's given right there, why he didn't criticize devotees was because he saw them all serving as servants of Krishna. He saw them all serving Krishna. You must have talked about this yesterday, I'm sure.
Actually, I just read the purport, there's so much in the purport.
There's so much, isn't it?
And then I went off on a tangent, so I didn't actually speak about it. So
okay.
You just speak
Okay.
on it, and then I'm sure I
Okay.
can touch on it.
Okay, thank you.
And even if I did,
And I'm trying to find it. Well, it's unlimited, isn't it?
good things are worth repeating. So.
Yeah, exactly. And we've just heard it's unlimited there. But I'm just trying to find it here, whether it's in this section. So here we go. Raghunath Bhatta would neither hear nor speak about anything of the material world. He would simply discuss Krishna and worship the Lord day and night. He would not listen to blasphemy of a Vaishnava, nor would he listen to talk of a Vaishnava's misbehavior. He knew only that everyone was engaged in Krishna's service. He did not understand anything else. Purport. Raghunath Bhatta never did anything harmful to a Vaishnava. In other words, he was never inattentive in the service of the Lord, nor did he ever violate the rules and regulations of a pure Vaishnava. It is the duty of a Vaishnavacharya to prevent his disciples and followers from violating the principles of Vaishnava behavior. He should always advise them to strictly follow the regulated principles which will protect them from falling down. Although a Vaishnava preacher may sometimes criticize others, Raghunath Bhatta avoided this. And this is a very key sentence here. Even if another Vaishnava was actually at fault, Raghunath Bhatta would not criticize him. He saw only that everyone was engaged in Krishna's service. That is the position of a Mahabhagavat. So I was thinking about this, like, why do we, maybe not so much you, but definitely I feel this tendency, and I think we all to some degree have that, to criticize. And I'm thinking this is we can understand so much by this, because why didn't he criticize devotees? Why didn't he criticize? It said there, because he saw them as serving Krishna. Now he's a manjari, he's in the spiritual world, he has his eternal position of loving Krishna. Everything about his existence is dovetailed in pure spiritual connection to the lila of Krishna, and to the nama rupa guna lila of Krishna in the spiritual world. Everything he does is in his identity of loving Krishna. Just like a son is loving a father, or so if somebody else helps the father, then the son may say, oh yeah, my father's servant or employee, yeah, he has some fault, but still he does so much for the company, for my father's company, like that. He has that feeling because he's always remembering Krishna. So he's thinking, somebody may do something that's, even if they're at fault. But he doesn't see it like that because he's focusing on that. So I thought that's nice to meditate on that point about if we feel like we're feeling critical of a devotee. Oh, what's they doing? What are they doing? They're not doing it right. They should be this way, it should be that way. We can see from this example of Raghunath Bhatta's consciousness that the defect in us is we're forgetting that they're serving Krishna. We're forgetting that service to Krishna is the real thing and the most valuable thing, the only real thing. Everything else is detail. But that's actually what we're forgetting. And if we feel critical of devotees, we shouldn't run to our nearest device and try to utilize social media to, get as many other people to agree with us as possible that our criticism is bona fide, and therefore so many people agreed with my criticism. So that's not the process is given by Raghunath Bhatta. His process is to analyze our own consciousness and go, oh, Raghunath Bhatta never saw that as important. Why am I seeing it as so important? I'm forgetting the service to Krishna. That's the only thing that's here. We all leave our bodies, we'll go to a different blow or whatever. Nothing we take with us, only our religious merit, our Krishna consciousness. That's really the only thing. So he was showing that example. And of course we can't be on that. We can't be on that platform artificially. Oh, we see everyone as Krishna, everyone as servant of Krishna, we're so advanced. No, we're not artificially that, but we can see from his example that, if we have that consciousness, we can always see like that. And I think that in my pratyaksha, my direct experience, I can see people who you can see it practically, especially people who manage devotees, who manage or assist or engage other devotees. They have this consciousness actually. They have some fault, they may be this, maybe that, but they're trying to serve Krishna. They're trying, their sincerity is there. And this also comes back to this Ramdas Vishwas, that he didn't have that at all. So Lord Chaitanya didn't encourage him. He didn't bring him up. He didn't overlook his faults, because that wasn't there in the other person. That desire to serve Krishna. Just a final point on this, and I can't not comment on this that I've just read here about every branch and sub-branch of the tree is full of innumerable fruits and flowers. They inundate the world with the waters of love of Krishna. Each and every branch of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's devotees has unlimited spiritual power and glory. Right? Each and every branch. So this is the very last closing word. So just understand. Krishnadas Kaviraj is sitting in Vrindavan. He's very, very old. 80, even 90 something years old, and he's writing all of the different devotees, and he's so many different devotees, and we've got 161 verses of devotees, and then this is the end. This is the summation, the phala, the fruit of all of that description he's giving us. He's telling us that each and every branch, eka shakara shakti ananta, each and every branch has unlimited spiritual power and glory. Right? And sometimes we hear this kind of, it's similar to this criticism that Prabhupada's talking about, that there's only one particular branch or only one particular guru or something like that is there. Sometimes we hear this thing, not very much, but occasionally. But here Krishnadas Kaviraj is saying that every branch has unlimited spiritual power and glory. But why is that? Why is it that the tree, any branch of the tree, they have unlimited potential to grow? You see, when the tree's small, that branch is only tiny. But as it grows, the branch gets big. Why is it that that branch has the potential? Why? It's connected to the root. Thank you. It's connected to the root, right? So what's important is it's connected to the trunk. The trunk, the root and the trunk is Lord Caitanya himself, Krishna himself. And if somebody is connected to that, they may not be a big fancy branch, a big fancy thing, and have this, know so many things or whatever, but if they're connected, then they have unlimited potency to give Krishna consciousness, to give that nectar of the trunk, that Lord Chaitanya's mercy, his nectar of Krishna consciousness. They have the ability to give that, right? And so it's not so much, you know, who is the guru, who is this guru, that guru, but the thing is, how is the disciple connecting themselves, right? How is the disciple connecting themselves? Of course, we are inspired in different ways by different gurus, and when the devotee, the guru is very advanced, it's very inspiring, and that's wonderful, and we should try to find someone that inspires us to take diksha, to keep in our heart as this is the prime connection that I have to the tree of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We should definitely do that. At the same time, we should understand that any of these branches, Krishnadas Kaviraj is saying it very clearly, each and every sub-branch has unlimited spiritual power and glory. Each and every branch, each and every sub-branch. Before this he says shishya, upashishya, disciple, sub-disciple, sub-disciple. As long as they're connected as long as they're properly situated, connected to the mercy, under the lotus feet of, in our case, obviously, Srila Prabhupada, who's our prime acharya, our Shiksha Guru, of how we're applying Krishna consciousness within this branch of Lord Chaitanya's tree. But this is the Shastra, or the Vedanta, the Tattva, if you want to say. This is the understanding we should have, right? Not that any connection can give unlimited results in Lord Chaitanya's movement. So thank you very much. If there's any comment from the devotee's question, Hare Krishna Mataji. You want to take? Have you got a mic?
Thank you so much for the wonderful class. I just want to make a little comment in support to what you said about that we should not criticize devotees. There is also the statement of Sridhar Maharaj, Prabhupada's godmother, that whether it is true or not, talking about faults of a devotee is blasphemy. So, and I think, as you mentioned, this is one point we don't realize. We think, well, it's true, so why can't I talk about it? What's wrong? You know? And I guess even if we don't have this vision, you know, of the Uttama Adhikari, nevertheless there is the Vaishnava etiquette. And Vaishnava etiquette is just our saving grace.
Yeah,
you know?
Yes,
that's why the etiquette in Vaishnava culture is so important. Because that helps us, that protects us from committing these offenses. Because that's really what wins our spiritual life. And I dare say, behind it is actually envy. Because we like to use the fact that a devotee has some shortcomings in order to establish our superior position and minimize them.
Exactly.
That's what's behind it.
Literally, my 12-year-old daughter was having a whole thing the other day, and at school, and someone was basically telling her, you're no good at this, and you're a crybaby, you do this, and so many things. And I said to her, after a bit of talking, I said, actually, you know what you should tell him? Say that actually you think you're being very, very strong, but actually you're the most weak person. Do you know why? Because to make yourself feel big, you have to put down all the other girls. You have to, say bad things about, especially the girls. This guy, putting things about you have to, and that's how you make yourself feel better. And that's exactly what, like, you know, we do that if we, unless we're in a position of, you know, responsibility, and Prabhupada talks about that in that purport. You know, if one is a guru, or if one is acting as a guru, like a shiksha guru for new devotees, and they have to pick out some fault, something. But unless one's in that situation, then yeah, generally it just we makes us feel very good to push someone else down. It's just like, I think Ramai Swami was saying the other day in class, right? It's like the ultimate is like you die and I live. That's like the ultimate in the animal kingdom.
And also we have to remember this point of unity and diversity, that we have to learn to appreciate and value and respect other devotees' contribution, even though it may be very different than our contribution. You know, Krishna consciousness,
it's feeding back, yeah, just a little bit.
It's not black and white.
The other way.
It's not
That's
black
it.
and white,
Yeah.
right and wrong. But there is so many approaches according to how much we have transformed. So this whole right and wrong approach, that's what actually creates a lot of tension. So it is basically, it requires respect.
I think it's the other. You just turn this one down. I think it's the other one.
Respect and appreciation. You know? Even
Yeah, I mean,
his contribution is very different than ours, but still they're making their contribution and they're inspiring some people.
Yeah.
You know, so that's unity
And
and diversity.
yeah, and I think that by the example of Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, we can see that the way to achieve that unity and diversity is to focus on Krishna. You know, like we won't achieve unity and diversity by focusing on the diversity. Right? We'll achieve diversity by focusing on diversity. But Raghunath Bhatta is saying that if you focus on the common point, and Prabhupada said it everywhere, right? In terms of Grihastashram even, or in terms of management or whatever. And yeah, and those, like you see those managers who are very Krishna conscious, that's how they see, and it's a very simple point, but we can't use modern kind of corporate designatory speech and stuff to achieve that. I think if we understand Sambandha Abhidaya Prayojana, we'll understand if we set up a Sambandha of a sort of Western psychological categories, the Abhidaya, the activities and the talking will be within that, and then the final goal will be that bodily concept of life. That's what we'll get. But it can only be achieved by spiritual, like Raghunath Bhatta is saying that, because I think we've all had that experience, even as new devotees, right? We joined the temple, and there were so many people with so many different consciousness to us that we would never associate with such people. But because we're all serving Krishna, in fact, there was a class recently, Bhaktivedanta Purna Swami, he gave one class, it was just an excerpt I saw on social media, that he was making the point that in most institutions, the modes of nature are similar. Like if you go to a golf club, right? Everyone there has to have enough money to get all the outfits and the golf clubs. They have to have some time to go there. They have to have a certain sort of household situation that they're allowed to go. So they all have a certain nature. And if you look at any club, you know, it might be the skateboard club, the young people doing skateboards, whatever. Everywhere in the material world, the modes or the conditioning is quite similar in the different institutions. But when you come to Krishna consciousness, there's no common factor except Krishna. So if we forget that common factor, we just have diversity. There's not much unity inside that. So, but thank you for bringing those points out. Yeah. All right. Yes, Manju.
Thank you so much for the class.
Hare Krishna.
I just wanted to add to the point as well. We find sometimes there's a lot of external, I guess you can say judgment, criticism of other devotees.
Depends where you look.
And yet we forget that we, at the end of the day, we all please Krishna, and we should really look the service attitude and like what we're trying to achieve when we are doing our service.
Yeah.
And then whatever it is that people are judging externally, they should just put that aside and see this person is doing what they can.
Yeah.
From the heart. So yes, that's how we connect. It becomes unity about.
Yeah. Also.
We all diverse.
Exactly. Yeah. All problems are solved if we remember that, and that's the meditation of Raghunath Bhatta is giving us that meditation of why he wasn't critical. It wasn't because he was super controlled, his mind, yogi, or whatever. It was just how he saw things. He always remembered Krishna, and he saw that service to Krishna is the only important thing. Everything else is just phantasmagoria. So if somebody's trying to serve Krishna, they may have some faults, but it's like, it doesn't matter, but he's trying to serve Krishna. That's what he would always say to people. That's why they wrote that. That's literally what he would say to the devotees. So it's very instructive. So thank you. Yeah. Thank you very much for giving me a chance to come to the temple and glorify Krishna. Grantaraj, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Sri Caitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.